pass it on to her clumsy daughter.
Yeah, I know. Don't let the little kid hold the time device. Hey, Internets. It's Paul, it's Matt, the Dork Lords. We're here talking about Twilight Zone, Season 1, Episode 3, Replay.
Yes.
All right. So, plot is actually fairly simple,
Very
right?
simple.
Mom tries to keep her son alive.
Yes.
Essentially.
Yes.
And is having a hard time doing it.
Yes.
So the conceit is she's got this old camera. I believe she mentioned that her dad had used it. Perhaps it was anyway.
The brother definitely said it was his father's.
Yeah. So she's got this old video camera, and she is taking her kid to college, driving him to school.
Yes.
For his first day.
Yes.
And filming the procedure, the process. And
he's going to be a little filmmaker.
Good point. Going to film school.
Yeah, right.
She finds out that by rewinding the tape, she can rewind
time.
This particular day, the driving her kid to school keeps ending with the kid getting shot by a cop or arrested.
Or getting in trouble.
Getting in trouble with the cop.
Like, for a while, it was nearly that he was going to be tasered.
Right. And then it was getting shot pretty regularly. In any case, you get the idea that it probably ends with his death. I mean, that's what I kind of
Certainly a bad incident that could have been his death. I mean,
Violence at the hands of police over and over again. And so she's trying to avoid that fate. And interestingly, there is, in one moment, there's a little monologue from the son who's talking about how, well, ever since the Big Bang, all our particles go off into space in a predetermined way. And so, in some ways, everything that happens was already meant to be because it's already preordained. And I think what that's saying is, in terms of the show, or this episode, is that he has this fate, and she keeps trying to avoid it. But as long as whenever she stops being vigilant, that fate is going to kick in, and it's going to happen to him. Which is why then at the end, when the camera breaks 10 years later, she's been vigilant the whole time, and the camera breaks and she can't ever rewind anymore. He does the little, I'm like, don't wink. Because he walks out, he's like, hey, I'm going to go get some ice cream. I'm like, oh, he's dead now. I don't know. But anyway, he walks out. We don't hear a gunshot, but we hear the siren, and we see the sirens, and he's getting in trouble with the cops again, because that's that first moment that she didn't have the time device. Hence, fate picks back up.
Perhaps. I mean, I didn't, necessarily think that because he was out of sight, he was dead.
Okay, good point. I mean, he did. You're right. I added the extra drama on that.
You really did add that extra drama. Yeah, because I don't know that they really wanted you to actually believe that she was just fighting fate that whole time.
Okay.
Because, the fact that they were able to decided to act differently with the camera and record the events ended diffusing the situation that was leading to his death. So while she was fanatical about that after that, about recording, I think they may have been, perhaps making a commentary as they typically do in Twilight Zone stories or wherever, about obsession around activities and feeling responsible, like you're the one who's keeping something from happening. So it's possible that they wanted to add that ambiguity with the cop thing afterwards. I mean, but then it just asks the question, it suggests the question, which is, if she kept doing it until he was an old man, or after she was dead, I guess, or pass it on to her clumsy daughter.
Yeah, I know. Don't let the little kid hold the time device. Maybe that's your key. It's like, if you have a device that operates time, don't let the little 3-year-old go, wee!
Right? Because, typically when, I guess you could argue that the fate of his is getting killed by a cop, and not necessarily fate getting killed on his way to college.
Right, because otherwise it's an incredible coincidence, right? It's like, oh, the camera broke. All right, 2 seconds later, I walk out the door. Like,
well,
I
but
can't even get out the door.
Unless that's what they actually say. Being a black man means you're just going to get shot by the cops. It doesn't matter if you're recording or not.
Yeah. And right, obviously, this is a racial story. It's telling the story of institutional oppression,
sure.
And the point that it's not just police brutality, but it's also the fact that he's trying to get to college. It's the
yes, right.
I'm getting an education and I'm gonna, become this filmmaker. And no, and so she's constantly trying to get him up to the gate of the like. If I could just get him through the gate, then it's fine.
I thought they were gonna throw a twist in it when they finally, because she was avoiding going to the brother's place, and
right. So she's got this,
and I thought the cop was gonna come over like, "Hey, buddy, how you doing?"
Like, in other words, he's friends with the family. That would have been nice. That's not Twilight Zone. Now, I did find this interesting. So it's actually in that same part where the son has the monologue about the particles after the Big Bang. But they're sitting. She's like, you know what? Let's just get off the road.
Yes.
Apparently, this day and time, if we are on the road today, bad things happen. So let's just get a hotel room. We'll watch some movies or shows, and we'll just relax and get deflect the future.
Yep.
So during that time, they're doing the lottery numbers, and she just turns the camera on, films lottery numbers. Now, it was I thought that was very fascinating that she now knows the lottery numbers.
Oh, yeah.
And she uses them not to win the lottery.
No.
She just says, hey, if I say the lottery numbers right, will you stop by more often from school? All right. I mean, that's how, it shows that's what she finds important.
Yes.
She doesn't care that I could win a couple $1 million.
Nope, she didn't find them.
She's like, blah, 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 blah. Because she could easily just rewind and go, at that restaurant, come buy a lottery ticket while I'm at it. Oh!
And be like, oh, can we want to share it? Huh? Okay, let's stay here until that hits. Now you're not going to kill me now, are you?
Yeah. So it's obviously more important. Her son is the most important thing to her. And so saving him becomes this all-consuming thing. She finally even breaks down and has to, tell him, I've been living this future and I have to try to avoid this. And I like the fact that people didn't just think she was crazy. I mean, that would be the normal reaction, right? If somebody came and if I told you, hey, I have a camera that sees the future, you'd be like, you're crazy. Or you maybe wouldn't tell me because you'd be worried I might be a threat. You'd be like, okay, why don't we go to the hospital for no reason?
Yes.
But they didn't, this show, they didn't do that. And so I like the fact that they're like,
I wish, part of me maybe wish they took another couple of cracks at how she was telling them, because her calling it magic. I mean, it is magic, but I mean, I don't know. You don't know why it's happening, I guess. So yes, it's magic, but why it's happening, she doesn't know. But yeah, it's good that they believed her.
Right. It's kind of a Groundhog Day effect. She eventually does go to visit her brother. She had avoided going back home. The brother's house is in somewhat proximity to the school, and so it was one of those like, I programmed the GPS to go this way. Yes. She's like, we're not doing that. She finally says, fine, we'll go. And so she had avoided that place because there was, I think her father had been killed. People had died, and that her family had and bad memories.
She was determined to get out of there, basically, and so she didn't want to have to come back.
Yeah. So she comes back. She has a little reunion with her brother, and he again goes, yep. You don't have to. I'm not going to call you crazy.
Nope.
And he aids in getting the son to school. And he's like, we have these old back ways. The area is becoming gentrified now, and so it's harder to get through this area. But the old ways are best. Basically, is kind of the idea. And so they circumvent the vigilance of the cops, and get the kid to school. 10 years later, he's obviously graduated at that point. I guess that's his kid, it seems like.
Presumably.
He's had a kid. And then, the camera breaks. The kid breaks the camera, and the cops show up.
Yes.
I like the different strategies. I like the fact that she
Yes.
She tries, like, you know what? maybe I'll be nice to the cop.
Yeah.
Then he'll know me.
Yeah.
And then he won't,
Yeah.
And so she gets him money.
And it was interesting that at that point she was so frustrated that she breaks down. She breaks down, and her son goes to get his phone and he gets shot.
I guess it's obvious, but she remembers each iteration of what's happening. We'll just say that to the audience. Like, in other words, when she rewinds
yes, if you didn't watch it first and hearing us recap it, if you're like, no, I want to watch it afterwards.
Why would she make different choices? That's why she's making different choices. She's remembered every single iteration of this thing. All right, I tried being nice to the cop in the car.
Yes.
I tried staying in a hotel.
Yes.
I tried leaving before the cop arrives. I tried buying him an apple pie and really making a connection to him.
Yep.
But it's a racist cop who also was the serial killer, spoiler alert, in the first year of True Detective. The first True Detective season, he was the lawnmower guy.
Yeah.
All right, anyway. I was like, why does that guy look so creepy to me? And that's why.
Because he was in the practice.
And because he was... That too. But yeah, so, he makes a good evil guy, and this is like sinister, the institution that's going to, keep you from your destiny.
Sure.
Even the original version of Twilight Zone had a lot of things like this, where it was like, we're going to take an allegory and we're going to put it in a sci-fi context so that it makes it a little more palatable, but we have a statement to make. And that's what I think. So I think in the best tradition of Twilight Zone, this is what this episode is doing. And so yeah, no, it was.
For my taste, I think I would have liked them to. I mean, perhaps if they weren't trying to keep it down to under an hour, I felt when they decided to basically go through the history of, of the area around there, it was, perhaps given too short shrift in a way.
In what way? Sorry, what do you?
Because it might have been interesting. I mean, I think I would have liked her and her brother to actually spend more time together.
Okay, you're right. That part was pretty rushed in terms of I can help you. Here's a thing. Here's a map. Yeah. Blah, blah.
Yeah. So that kind of happened a little quicker than I would have liked, and maybe I would have liked it better if they were less personal with the cop. Like if we never saw his face or something.
Okay, if he was just more of like he represented the institution or something.
Yeah.
And not like, it's that cop.
Yeah, right. Because, there was times when he was, there was a point where he's kind of suspicious because he felt like he knew her or whatever.
Yeah.
But...
Why are you driving a Volvo?
Yeah. And it's interesting. I was like, I have a picture of that pink slip. Oh, I guess you'd be like, yes, we own it. But yeah. So so I feel like maybe if it was having all those different instances where things went badly certainly led to her being frustrated, and it was interesting that part where it was like she got separated from her camera, and so she was there with him being dead in the hospital. Right. She's like, "Can I get the camera, please?"
Because that's pretty much the only way to solve this problem. And I guess it only brings her back to the moment she started playing the camera. If she'd had any footage earlier, she'd be like, "All right, I'll go back." 2 years.
Yeah, maybe we'll take a plane out there.
Yeah. But yeah, she didn't figure this out until she was at this diner. It's a powerful story. It's a resonant story, and it brings in the cool sci-fi twist on it. So I was up on this particular episode. Kind of interesting that this one uses a recording device similar to the plane one, right? Where you've got like, here's an odd iPod that plays this podcast, and it tells me the future. In this case, there's one that I can go back to the past.
Right.
So anyway, I guess short and sweet.
Yep.
Talked about it. It's cool. Ready for further episodes of Twilight Zone.
Yes. Was it Greg Kinnear in the next one?
Yeah. So we will be back talking about that. And also, obviously, Game of Thrones and Discovery and all those things.
Yes.
So, Fare thee well, everyone. Bye.